Hey guys, welcome back to Nearly by Nature. Today we have a really special guest, Simone Umba, who is a political content creator, and she's going to be talking to us about the ongoing genocide happening right now in Congo. So thank you so much, Simone, for giving us your time and your knowledge. Um, I know that for a lot of people, they didn't know what was happening in Congo. People didn't even know that their iPhones, their beloved iPhones and Mac computers and like technology was coming from child slavery in Congo, where they were mining parts like cobalt. Um, why don't you tell us a little bit about this genocide very briefly?
Okay, so to summarize what's happening, the eastern part of the country mainly is going through the most devastating displacement and mistreatment that has been seen in decades. Right now, there are close to 1 million people that are being currently displaced. People are being forced to work in the mines and mine mainly coltan and cobalt. And those are really rich minerals that have been serving, majority of the world's supply for coltan and cobalt because those are things that are used in our technology. It is more valuable than gold or diamonds. And many people have been taking advantage of that. And many have been using destabilization as a way to come in and not only smuggle these resources, but also take control of the people. And right now, what people are seeing coming out is that there's mass displacement. People are being forced to work in the mines. People are fleeing for their lives because they're afraid of being murdered or tortured or sexually assaulted or being subjected to even more violence because of militias that have pretty much taken over and terrorized the region.
Mhm. Um, how long has this genocide been going on? And would you say that it's appropriate to call it a genocide?
So I would definitely categorize this as a genocide because of the main points. There is mass displacement. There's been mass murder that's been occurring daily amongst men, women, and children. In regards to when this started, it is hard to just like give an exact pinpoint date because of how long it's been going on, and
Mhm.
there's been endless massacres. But historically wise, this has been going on since the early 90s and has been documented mostly since.
So when people say 6 million Congolese people have died, um, w- do they mean in recent times or do they mean since the 1990s? Because 6 million is a very large number. It's a Holocaust, right? Like that's why people are calling this is
Mhm.
a Holocaust that is happening, a silent Holocaust. Like, is there where is that number coming from? And like, is there a time of that? And like, do we know people's names? And like, how are these people even being remembered?
So that 6 million, it is documented from the early 90s. A lot of
Wow.
it is accounted from the first Congo War that had happened, and as well as the second Congo War. The first Congo War was, the after effects of the Rwandan genocide when over 2 to 3 million Rwandans had evacuated during that into Congo. And a lot of the rebels that were trying to evade persecution tried to take over Congo, and that's what led to the first war. The second war that went from 98 to about 2003, and I believe, I can't get the exact number right, at least 2 million people were killed during that war over that like 5 to 6 year span. And in regards to the 6 million, a lot of people aren't accounted for. A lot of people, their names, they're not accounted for because the numbers were just so high. A lot of people died in their villages. A lot of them, are kind of cut off from society where a lot of people do not remember. Yes, there's some monuments, but a lot of people aren't documented by name because it was just such a devastation that the number is pretty much set at six. And there's so many more that we still don't know about.
Mm. Are there outside forces funding and supporting this forced labor that's happening right now and the genocide that is happening in Congo? Are tech companies complicit in this? Since they're mining cobalt and these parts that are used to make our our phones and computers. Um, what benefits do these forces get from this genocide and from this forced labor?
So in regards to who's involved, there's many people's involved. Mainly, larger Western countries like the US, the UK, France, and China, who
The
have
usual
benefited
suspects.
from the destabilization. Yep, the destabilization. Many of them, quite like smaller and even larger companies, own the mines and have them operated. One of them, it was a Chinese company. I think it was called China Imboldi, and they had owned 15 of the 19 mines that were in the eastern part of DRC. And they had been taken to court by the Congolese government. And essentially, they were granted the mines back from that company, but
Mhm.
that was only for about 6 months. There hasn't been like permanent yet. There's still no update on that case yet. Um, in regards to tech, they play a huge role with cobalt and coltan. It's used for a lot of technological stuff like phones, laptops, cars, Teslas. A lot of them take advantage of that. Some of those companies have been taken to court, like Apple and Google, and
And they've all completely
really,
denied,
yes,
you
they've
know,
repeatedly denied it. A lot of them are trying to absolve their hands and say that it's ethically sourced, even though we know that is not true.
because it's being sold
Um,
on the black market.
Essentially, they're trying to say that there is a process that they do, even though there are different ways or different channels that they go about bringing this forward and over to their side.
Mm.
And with the benefits, they benefit through smuggling, they benefit through essentially paying the government in their pockets under the table for them to benefit. That's why when you ask a Congolese person about the government, a lot of them will tell you we've never had a democratic society, because a lot of them are bought by the US, they're platformed by the US, and anything against a free, socialist, and just calm and peaceful society for DRC, those are the people that they fear of. And
Mm.
that's really, why a lot of times we don't have democratic leaders that are actually democratic and for the people, because a lot of opposition is thrown in from the powers that be.
Um, is the whole of Congo being forced into slavery in these mines, or are there areas where Congolese people are safe? Um, can you show us like what that would look like? Like, are there areas that people are safe, or is there some parts where this mining is happening and people are being forced into mining, these resources? Um, and are there parts that is actually safe? Because I know that you also are Congolese. You have
Yeah.
family there,
um,
right?
yeah, I still have family there in
You just went
DRC.
back. You just recently went, right?
Yes, I was recently there in December for the holidays, and majority of my family are on the western part of DRC, which is in like the capital city, like Kinshasa. And a lot of what's going on is happening on the eastern front. It's a lot of just kind of like non like city area. It's a lot of where the villages are, a lot of greenery. It's also where a lot of the people, are able to, be away from the city, and kind of like the gentrification of it all, but also it also subjects them to a lot of harm that is not, documented. And I think I can share my screen and show the map. Essentially, what's happening is mainly on the Eastern Front right here. So let me try to find it. So one of the main places where it's happening is in the town of Goma.
Mhm.
And this is really much at the very part of the border. And as you can see right here, it's right next door to Rwanda. And Rwanda is a major, player that is essentially benefiting from this genocide. The militia M23 is funded by Rwanda. And, even the leader has, denied these claims, even though it's been documented and told by people on the ground that this is a militia being funded by Rwanda so that way they can smuggle coltan, cobalt, and other resources that are rich in Congo back into their individual country through the militia, either through forcing people to work the mines or essentially forcing them out or just killing them and just taking over that part of the land.
Mm. When we talk about Rwanda, and I can't help but to think about the Rwanda genocide as well, because you were also
Mhm,
saying like the 6 million Congolese people that died also started, it dates back to like the 90s. That's also
mhm,
when Rwanda genocide was also happening.
mhm.
Is there intersection between the two genocides, or like did what happened during the Rwanda genocide trickle into today's ongoing problem in Congo?
It definitely is a trickle effect. When talking about Rwanda and DRC's history, it's always like tricky because a lot of time neither side wants to claim like accountability for what happened. But with the Rwandan genocide, there were millions of people from Rwanda that evacuated into Congo directly. And like I said earlier, there were rebels that wanted to evade persecution because the Rwandan genocide happened between the Hutu and the Tutsi. And essentially, the people that had evacuated to avoid persecution, they wanted to start a coup and try to take over DRC, which led to the first war. And there's just been a back and forth of tensions ever since. The M23 militia, I believe it came about in 2011 or 2012. I may have gotten the date wrong, but they have been terrorizing the eastern part of the region for about a decade now. And since then, Rwanda did not want to claim responsibility. They were taken to actually ICJ court a couple of years ago and were found guilty of genocide and were ordered to pay reparations to DRC for the genocidal actions that they had done. Um, I'm pretty sure there hasn't been an update on that. I'm not sure when those reparations were paid. And personally, I feel like if the country does get the reparations, I feel like the people aren't going to see it because, again, we got corrupt government. And when it comes to a president, we do not have someone who's sort of people. So it's just the repetitive cycle that we go to until there's that one person that can win an election and can stand on business and just say no to the West and to people who want to continue to exploit the country.
When I think of the mines where I see children being forced into mining for cobalt, I feel just horrified and like heartbroken because I can't believe that what I'm seeing, and that this is actually happening in modern day. Um, who are the people behind these mines? Like, who's running them? Are they armed? What role do they play in Congo's government? And why has the Congolese government been unsuccessful in actually removing these militias that are essentially enforcing the slavery?
So with the government, like I had previously said, a lot of them are bought out by these companies to let this continue. A lot of them really benefit from the lack of structure when it comes to politics and voting.
Mhm.
Um, Essentially, when it comes to the mines, a lot of these companies, secondary, who are supplying for the bigger ones like the tech companies, others who are directly, getting these mines, a lot of companies, they're running those mines. They have employees to run those mines. You have militia who are running the mines. And essentially, they're forcing people to work in unregulated, unsanctioned, 12-hour work days in 80 to 90-degree weather. And some days it'll be pouring rain and they're still being forced into the mine. They have no PPO equipment to actually protect themselves. And majority of the time, they're forcing children as young as 3 to go in these mines because they're small enough to fit into the crevices, which is why oftentimes you hear about children dying in these mines, is because they're unregulated or uncontrolled. Many of them, have created them themselves so that way they can search more and more for these natural resources.
Um, Patrice Lumumba was the former prime minister of Congo, and his assassination was deeply mourned by the country. Why do you think his legacy still lives on today? And what was his impact on Congo? And like his assassination did trickle into what's happening today, right? When we talk about, you know, Congo never actually having a chance, not actually having a shot at democracy or actually being like this independent country that could actually thrive off of its own resources. It kind of dates back to Patrice Lumumba. And for those of you who don't know who Patrice Lumumba, I was wondering if you could just give us a brief background on who he was and like his impact on Congo.
So Patrice Lumumba, he was a socialist advocate who wanted Congo to thrive and to have the resources funneled back into the people of Congo. He led a socialist movement that led to Congo getting its independence in 1960. He became the first prime minister of the country, and his term in office was tragically cut short because of Western opposition that did not want a socialist movement in the country since it already got an independence. Many people, like the US, like UK, like Belgium, who had previously ruled the country, even people within the region, they were afraid of essentially this considered small country in Africa being the one to essentially be free of that. And, some people thought it was going to be like, Haiti and they get their independence. And essentially, they conspired together, the US, the UK, Belgium, and people who were even in Patrice Lumumba's own circle to have him taken down. And that's where people, find out about Mobutu. He was one of Lumumba's, close friends, and within his circle, he sold him out in order to gain power and essentially become a dictator in DRC. And that had led to Patrice Lumumba being arrested and later executed. And with his story, it has such an impact. And a lot of people don't know that a lot of civil rights leaders during that time knew about him. Malcolm X, Langston Hughes, they spoke highly of him and how the fight in Congo was, identical to the fight in the civil rights movement. And a lot of people today know about Patrice Lumumba's story because people who were alive during that time, they passed on that story. And as the country, endures more and more of this genocide, the fight for a free Congo is exactly what Patrice Lumumba fought for. That was his dream for the country. And it is an exact mirror to what people want for the country now, because he never wanted the country to be taken advantage of like it was centuries before. They wanted the country to be able to fight back and to have an actual democracy and independence.
Thank you for sharing that. I think it's really important to talk about Patrice Lumumba because I remember learning about him when I was in high school, and I just know that had he been alive, the trajectory of Congo would have been completely different than where it's at today. Um, I often hear people telling people from Congo that they need to record the injustices that they face. They need to record the genocide. They need to show it on social media. They need more journalists to report on the genocide there. I feel people are watching the genocide in Gaza, and now they have this kind of expectation that everyone should be recording their genocide, which is very dystopian, right? Like that shouldn't be normalized. Can you talk to us a little bit about the challenges of getting information and videos out of these areas where the genocide is taking place, where the mining is taking place, where the enforced slavery is taking place? There's also been lots of I believe I read that like every minute a woman is raped in Congo. Like can you talk to us a little bit about the challenges in getting information and videos out?
So the main challenge is mainly internet access. So there's some areas where it's hard to even access the internet. A lot of times you have to go outside of, certain areas to even upload. A lot of people, even ask me if there are independent journalists who are out there. It's hard to even get out there and actually get the stories out. There are some organizations that are raising funds so that people can be those independent journalists and document what's happening, because media is not going to cover it. They'll give you just the written 2 paragraph article on what's happening, but they're not going to show you, what's physically there. And so when it comes to documenting, a lot of people they'll document as much as they can. And when they leave, they'll be able to upload it online and show what's happening. So when it comes to documenting what's happening, it's really important to support the independent journalists from different, nonprofit organizations and grassroots organizations that are keeping that evidence, so that way people do not think that, oh, is it really a genocide because I can't see it. The evidence is there so you can actually physically see it.
Um, as a Congolese woman, what do you hope for? What is your wish for the people of Congo and the country of Congo? What do you hope for?
I hope for in my lifetime to be able to see a Congo that is free. I hope for one day for us to have leadership that actually cares about the people rather than just, personal gain and just advancement. I wish that the people can benefit from our resources, because there is no reason why we're one of the most richest countries in resources, but we're considered one of the poorest in the world.
How can we continue amplifying the voices of people in Congo and what's happening there? What are ways that people who are watching this interview, how can we help to end this genocide?
I would say keep talking about it, keep discussing it, keep researching and posting about it, keep educating yourself, and continue to amplify voices of people who are online, giving the information and showing what's happening. Continue to donate to organizations that are doing the groundwork to support the displaced and to aid in the recovery from what these people have endured. Continue to speak out, because the more people that speak up about it, the more attention it gets and the more that these governments can no longer ignore it.
And then what about the boycotting of actual products that are using cobalt? I remember we were talking about this and you were saying instead of buying new products, hold on to what you have longer or buy used products. Do you know of any companies that like one we should be avoiding purchasing from, or what are ways that we can bring down the sales of these items so that the mining can actually come to a halt?
So the big major one when it comes to boycotts is tech. Those are the main people that are benefiting. The
Mhm.
big one is definitely Apple. That's the closest one people can avoid. Others would have to be Microsoft, HP, Tesla, basically anything involving technology, essentially. And when it comes to like refurbishing and replacing, I am constantly telling people, if you need to get a phone, if it's on its last leg, buy used, get refurbished. Do not buy anything new, because the purpose of boycotting these ways is the way that if you stop the demand, then you stop the supply,
Yeah.
meaning that it starts to slow down. And it's to the point where they can no longer be mass producing these products, meaning that they'll need it less and less of the coltan and cobalt.
Yeah. I think the other day I saw someone on social media like say that we shouldn't be, buying from Sheen, and then someone responded saying, "Oh, well, the phone you're responding on is from an iPhone, so um or the computer that you're responding from is made of child slavery, so like what makes the difference?" And I think that what's interesting is that people kind of use that to justify um, participating in these things. It's like, well, if I'm buying from Shein and I have an iPhone, well, then it's like, which one am I going to pick and choose? I think that it's sometimes it feels like it's very difficult to boycott some things, right? Like, I feel like Shein is
Mhm,
something that feels more accessible and easy to boycott. But when we think about tech, there's a certain reliance on it. But I think that instead of being so radical in the way of like, where the messaging isn't to completely stop, you know, using technology, and your phone and your computer. It's about bringing the consumption down, right? Like how much are
right.
we consuming? And we're consuming more than what we need. You don't need to get every new iPhone. You don't need to get
Mhm,
every new upgrade of a headphone or a laptop. What the messaging really is to bring down how much you're consuming, decrease how much you're consuming. Bring like you said, uh, bring down the demand for it, because that would bring down the supply, which would,
mhm,
inevitably bring this to a halt. So I think it's really important to let that be known, because sometimes I get so frustrated when people talk
mhm.
about climate change, and people are like, "Oh, well, you do laundry, so you're wasting water," and like,
Yeah,
"Oh, you take a plane, you took a car." So, and it's like, even if you talk about these things about climate change, it's like you have to be the perfect person, and it's like that is not the messaging. It's like
mhm,
little steps collectively can make larger impacts. And I think what's happening in Congo is devastating. It's not just a genocide of, people are being murdered and killed. People are being violently raped. Women
mhm,
are being violently raped. Little girls are being violently raped. I mean, 6 million people have died. This is a silent Holocaust, and then it deserves our attention. I think also just thinking about what's happening in the Middle East and in all these countries in Africa, right? It's like a lot of these are also proxy wars and genocides, right? It's like
mhm,
America is so closely involved in what's happening in Congo because they don't want Russia and China to to take over the resources, right? And
mhm,
so you have a lot of African nations, actually a lot of the global South is for the first time having the opportunity to um, say no to the US because they have another option with China, like, oh, if you don't give
mhm,
me what I want, I can just go to China. And that
mhm,
is causing a lot of um, tension in the region, instability. A lot of these wars and genocides are proxy wars and genocides. And
mhm,
it's a fight for resources. And the Middle East and Africa right now have so many resources that are in demand. And I think it's so important for us to recognize these things, because world leaders and powers will turn us against each other and
mhm,
cause these genocides. It's with the Rwandan genocide turning Hutus and Tutsis against each other. And it's so easy for these things to happen, um, where they can control the narrative and
mhm.
turn people against each other. Um, but thank you so much, Simone, for your time and for just educating us on what is happening in Congo. I think, to be honest, I didn't know much about what was happening in Congo until October, until what was happening in Gaza, and people started talking about it. I knew that there was mining happening in Congo, but I didn't know to the extent. And I was also shocked at, the media not reporting on it. It's like there's a lack of documentaries, lack of, just even like the more progressive and liberal news
Mhm,
outlets. I saw that there was a lack of, reporting on it. And it makes me wonder a lot about like who gets to control this narrative and
mhm,
it seems like there is something in it for everyone. And when it's a resources like cobalt and coltan that is so important for our devices, for technology, for bombs, right? Like these are things that like countries need and especially countries like America need to be able to stunt on the world, to continue to be a world
mhm.
leader. America's like mass producer of weapons. So I felt very ignorant about this and I really wanted to use my platform to amplify what was happening in Congo because I think it's important to understand that one, you will see a lot of the same players in all of these wars and genocides, funding and backing and pretending like they're here for the people, but in reality, there's a lot of behind the scenes that are happening, behind closed doors, conversations that are happening, and treaties and things like that. Um, but thank you so much, Simone. It really means so much to me. And I hope that, for everyone watching, you donate, you take on, some of these initiatives and try to bring your consumption down. I'll put some links below where you can donate directly to Congo, and some maybe books and resources that can be helpful for people who would like to learn more. Thank you so much.
Thank you.